One more time, my name is Jedi. This is my brother Josky, who is referenced as Amir Kai, Amir Charlie Bell.
I have to walk by.
How did she buddy with her for a while? I'll put her in at 9:30 so I have to leave. What are you presenting on?
Thank you so much for your time.
What's your use for this material? Procreate. iPad only. Okay.
Welcome to ISTE. Joining the ISTE community is more than just your membership. It's about expanding horizons. It can help you make connections, take chances, and learn something new. In addition to the conference, we provide year-round, high-quality PE and resources aligned to the ISTE standards. Join us for our professional learning webinar series, access articles from our member magazine, Empowered Learner, and use your member discount on online courses and books. Connect with like-minded educators on specific topics or job roles via our professional learning networks. Another way to connect is at the local level through your ISTE affiliate or by attending an affiliate conference. ISTE membership can be the catalyst to broaden your connections, develop your leadership skills, recognize you for the great work you're doing. ISTE members are working toward a world where all learners thrive, achieve, and contribute. We can accomplish this by reaching out, by computing and crafting, by being creative. We collaborate, we listen, we learn. Technology is one tool in our toolbox. It's no longer an afterthought or an add-on. It's often the fastest and most effective way to communicate with our students. But ultimately, it's not about the tools. It's about changing the way learning and teaching take place to meet the challenges of the future head-on. We are digital experts, digital natives, and digital first-timers. We are innovators and explorers. We are ISTE members.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to ISTE 2017. And now, please welcome ISTE Board President, Dr. Mila Thomas Fuller.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. I saw y'all kicking it last night on the river wall. I need you to make some noise. Good morning. So welcome back for another action-packed day at ISTE 2017. I want us to first give it up to our band, Charlie Bell. That's the student band that was here today from Anderson High School and Austin High School in Austin, Texas. What a great way to wake us up this morning. So, this is a question for everyone out here. I'm going to need you to really make some noise. How have you been enjoying the conference? Isn't it amazing how much we can learn and just pack into just one day? Well, today is going to be phenomenal. We have some really exciting things on the program today. But before I get started, I want to take a moment to congratulate some exceptional educators and leaders who are being acknowledged for some outstanding awards, and they exemplify the mission of the International Society for Technology and Education. So congratulations to our ISTE Award winners. I want to thank you for all that you do to transform education and to pave the way for educators everywhere. So today we'll hear from an amazing educator from Plano Independent School District in Plano, Texas. I had a chance to meet her and she is just a true delight. Her name is Clara. In Plano, Texas. Her presentation considers what it takes for learners to grow and challenges educators to ask themselves, who do I want to be? So please join me in welcoming Clara Alanis. Good morning. I hope everyone is enjoying ISTE 2017. My name is Clara Alanis, and for the last 15 years, I've been a district-level instructional technology specialist in Plano ISD in Plano, Texas. And these are cilantro seeds. My parents have this beautiful backyard garden.
It grows cilantro and lots of other produce, and our whole family gets to enjoy it year-round. Weather and rabbits and other factors have brought setbacks to the garden over the years. For example, my son turned the garden into his weird outdoor restroom. This was a setback for the garden for sure. But in the following seasons, the garden thrived. In fact, we were surprised to find a cilantro plant grown by my parents' driveway, which is nowhere near their fenced-in backyard garden. My parents couldn't really explain it, and my mom said, well, it may not be in the garden, but it's still cilantro. It's still grows. That cilantro was fresh on my mind when reflecting upon my favorite program in our district, CLIC, which stands for Collaborate, Know, Instruct, Collaborate, Learn, Instruct, Create, Know. CLIC is a website of student-created technology tips. The students work with their teachers to create videos. They upload the videos and share them with others. The technology tips range from a first grader's view of how to carry a Chromebook to a high schooler explaining design. And CLIC's impact has been tremendous. The teachers who are participating are skillful leaders who collaborate with and advocate for all their students, giving all their kids a chance. They want their kids to be that thriving, blossoming, beautiful cilantro. Perhaps we, as empowered professionals, are gardeners. We see tremendous growth in the gardens that are our classrooms. We see unexpected growth. We see growth in areas people said we would not grow. My family was again surprised to find another cilantro plant, this time by a grill, and my dad said, we dropped food there and we stepped there. How could that possibly have grown there? And of course, my mom just said, it's still cilantro, it's still grown. I saw a little of myself in that cilantro because as a child, I was the one who, according to some, should not have grown. The statistics were not in my favor. I was the one who needed an advocate, and I didn't always find one. Professionals have the to the tools and resources they need to blossom inside and outside of the classroom. And all means all. All our learners deserve to be that sturdy, surprising cilantro, growing where it's planted and where it will on its own. And we are the leaders who collaborate with other educators and with students to make that growth happen. ISTE just released the new standards for educators, and when I read through them, I noticed they're not a child to be. I reflect upon them and think, who am I? The standards also help us focus how we ourselves need growth as empowered professionals and learning catalysts. You consider future goals against the standards and think, who do I want to be? When I think about the teachers who participated in CLIC, I see how they personify the standards for educators, especially leader and collaborator. And I also see how the students personify the student standards. They are empowered learners and brilliant collaborators. So when you read through the standards, I hope that you'll find how you can be the gardener who grows that cilantro. It's nice to be surprised by growth, but don't wait for that. Plant, grow, celebrate that growth, grow the cilantro, be an advocate for equitable access. Be that collaborative designer who builds student-centered learning experiences for all our learners, giving them all a chance. Grow that cilantro. It's not going to be easy. Just like this garden, you're going to have setbacks of your own. But that doesn't stop us from learning, and it doesn't stop us from growing. Just like this garden, we thrive season after season. We know when they say we can't. In fact, we keep coming back stronger every year, just like this new cilantro plant that just popped up at my parents' house near the sidewalk. My dad won't remove it because my mom said, it's still cilantro, it's still growth. I hope that as leaders and collaborators in this profession, we will always advocate for all our kids and celebrate their growth. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome ISTE CEO, Richard Clara.
morning. Wait, I just heard my lap here. You did so much better work. Good morning. Thank you very much. Can we thank Clara again? That was awesome. Clara, she's awesome. All right, I'm happy to be here with you again today. And I'm thrilled to introduce the next thing that we're going to do. We're bringing a group of students here from Texas, Chicago, and Michigan. Help us keep it real this morning. Make sure we're really talking about the right things. Unique perspective from students on learning, creating, and technology, and some other interesting things too. So let's welcome them out. Chloe Kaplan, Hilda Mendoza, Xavier Zeller, and Paul Taylor. Come on out, guys. Come on out. All right, now, a lot of people out here, I know. Yeah. It's but this is bigger, but you know, the nice part, guys, is friendly. It's a friendly group. Watch, try something. You got it like this.
Hello.
See, we're done. So don't worry, it's just pretend I invited your, 10,000 closest friends together, and you can have a little conversation, all right? Okay. Good. All right, so one other thing we need to do to get started is we're doing our tech check. Xavier really wanted to do something with the microphone, so this is your shot. Do it. Got that out of the way. All right, so listen, let's start here, and I'd love to let's just go down and introduce yourself a little bit. Just say a little bit who you are and tell these people about you.
My name is Paul Taylor. I'm from Dallas, Texas. I am the oldest out of 3 children. My favorite sport is basketball. My favorite color is red.
Yeah. All right, Xavier.
I'm Xavier Zeller. I'm 13 from Michigan, and I play golf, and my favorite color is green.
By the way, let's hear it for green, that's good. Xavier is one of our student Ignite session presenters. So you are awesome. Congrats, buddy. All right, come there.
My name is Hilda. I am from Chicago, Illinois. I love computer science. I want to be a computer scientist.
Hi, my name is Chloe Kaplan. I'm from right here in San Antonio, Texas. I enjoy reading and writing stories in my free time and also playing with my little bits that I have at home. My favorite color is green.
What a green theme going on here. There's like a green light section over there. Those are green guys. All right, so let me start with this question. Let me start by asking you, can you think of the most memorable learning experience you've ever had? Whoever wants to start. The most memorable learning experience that you've had. Go ahead. Okay.
I remember when I was a junior in high school, we had this activity in my classroom about being in the real world. So we would handshake with another person, and we will introduce ourselves as we had already graduated or were already working on what we wanted to do. And that really helped me see myself in the future doing that by saying I did it and I wanted to do it instead of just thinking I would. Maybe something would come in the way and I would change my mind. I mean, great experience for me to actually know how it feels like to be what I want to.
Awesome. Great example. Thank you. Thank you. Who else? Memorable experience.
I have a great experience when I was in science class last year. We did a research on owl pellets, and we got to do hands-on activities by opening the owl pellet and discovering bones. And it was just a loving learning experience for the rest of the class because our class had a hard time engaging in schoolwork because it wasn't fun for us. So, yeah, awesome. All right, go ahead.
Well, I think most of the hands-on labs that we do at school for science, or even just like reading as a class together, together and shows people that not everything that you're going to be doing once you graduate from college or high school or you get your first job isn't just going to be paperwork.
Yeah, great. Savor that. Okay.
The first time I used a 3D printer for a school project, it was relatively new technology at the time, and it was the first time I'd ever got to use one. And I remember for my project, I spent more time than I did on any other part of the project on 3D designing for the 3D printer, which I didn't even end up doing. So that ended up being kind of fun, but then also quite a learning experience not to spend too much time on one thing.
Nice. All right. So, Chloe, let me ask you a question. So, Chloe likes games, but to be clear, she likes creating games. Let's just, make sure we know it. So, if we had somebody, and I'm sure we did nobody in this group, if we had an educator or a parent or somebody came up to you and said, "This whole game thing, I don't think we should have games in school. We should be doing games for learning." What would you respond to that?
Well, I honestly think that games do help learning because they help make education fun, and when education is fun, people want to learn things. I think that games are a great way to have children want to learn, and a lot of teachers use educational math, reading, all the subjects. They use a whole bunch of websites for that, for like interactive learning.
Yeah, it'd be great. What's an example of a game you created?
I create some games on Scratch, and most of them are like, you have to get from one point to another without touching a certain color, like a maze, and you have to get through sprites that block different areas. So it's kind of like a navigation.
Yeah, cool. That's great. There's some game companies out here that might want to talk about Paul, you said when we were backstage chatting, you said that one of the things you want to do is start your own YouTube channel.
Yes. When I was like about 11 years old, I used to love YouTube. I used to watch almost every day, and I was inspired by all the YouTubers who would create their own type of way to inspire other people around the globe to do, let's say, arts and crafts. They would do vlogs. They would do all types of stuff, and I just want to be a part of their culture. They get paid for it too. But if I had a YouTube channel, I would use it to inspire basketball players. Just to stay focused at all times, don't worry about anybody but yourself. And I just want my name to be out there. That's it.
Awesome. That's great. Great. All right. Yeah. All right. Let me ask this, and let's just do like a 1 or 2 word answer. This is like rapid fire, and we'll just go down the line. If there was one thing you wish we could stop doing in education, what would it be? What's something we should stop doing? Paul, you want to start? Let's go down the line.
Long list.
Okay.
Desks.
Yeah.
I think we should stop bullying in school.
Okay, so we were talking backstage, and you said that when you were 12 years old, if I got this right, how long have you been in Chicago at that point?
I moved here when I was 13.
When you were 13? Yeah. Oh, okay. So you were 13. Sorry, my memory's a little fuzzy. All right, so you're 13. So shortly after you moved here to the U.S., you convinced your parents to let you take a train into the city to take a CS class. Is that right? Why did you do that?
Because it was Girls Who Code. I applied. I didn't know if I was going to get in. I just applied and hoped for the best. And then I get this email, Hilda, you've been accepted. Out of 100 My parents weren't there. They were really concerned that I will get lost because we just moved in. So she's not here. My teacher, Ms. Garcia, she was actually a club sponsor for Tech Girls, Girls in Technology. We had a meeting. She showed us how to apply and all those things. And then she was the one that helped me convince my parents to let me go. And we had translators to make them understand that it was a really great opportunity for me. And oh my God, I learned so much. It was 7 weeks, but I learned that if you want to learn something, you don't have to know everything. You just want to be willing to open up your mind and put all your effort into it, and you'll eventually learn something.
Yeah. Great. All right, good to hear. You are you're into tech reviews, right? So you're actually starting a tech review YouTube channel, playing with some cool tech that's out there. So if there's like either a new type of tech, either a gadget, whether it exists now or doesn't, that you'd love to see be used more in education, what would it be?
Definitely VR. I was looking at things for VR because I like to think that I own this stuff. I really don't. I would like to, but I don't. I saw a glove that has resistance to hold in VR. So now not only would you be able to see the thing that you're trying to reach out and touch, and not only can you actually reach out and grab it, but you can feel it in your hands with the resistance that's pulling on your fingers. That'd be helpful for, say, something. If you wanted to do some sort of tour or something, and you wanted to pick something up or feel it, it's more immersive. Yeah. So you can get the feeling that you're actually there, which is helpful for students if they're trying to do a more in-depth project.
Yeah, awesome. That's great. Okay, so I'm going to do a two-part question here, and then we're going to have to carry on the conversation online afterward. These guys will be, on Twitter, and so if you guys want to continue the conversation with them, you can. But let me ask the first piece, which is, well, no, here's what we're going to do. Tell me, first of all, what you want to do when you grow up. And who wants to start? Oh, you want to start? Okay, what do you want to do?
I was planning on becoming a marine engineer or be a professional basketball player.
You can kind of do both, right? That's kind of yeah, good. All right.
Biological oceanographer or a game developer.
Yeah. I'm seeing a business starting there between biological oceanographer and marine engineer. Just say that you might want to, keep that contact information. All right, Carla, how about you?
Want to be a computer scientist and basically develop the experience you have when banking to make it more intuitive and more affordable for people to understand how it works.
Chloe?
So first of all, I want to be a teacher in elementary school. And then afterwards, I was thinking of becoming the president of the United States of America.
You got my vote. You got my vote. All right. Final thing, and then we got to get off the stage real quick. Any last advice? You get advice from teachers a lot, right? You've been in the schools, a lot of this. This is your chance. You flip the cards a little bit, right? Got a whole bunch of teachers there. What advice would you give them? Quick advice that you give for teachers.
Please make educational as fun as possible.
My advice to teachers would be know your students, know what they like, know what they don't like. Sorry to take yours from rehearsal. I just liked it so much. So you can make, again, timing what we said, make it more fun.
Just get to know more your students to see what they like and what they don't like. No, but seriously, so that you can be able to develop a career plan for them even before they get to high school.
If you haven't noticed, I've been all about the hands-on. So hands-on doesn't just have to be for science. Like, you don't have to do experiments just with science. If you're learning about different words, let's say in elementary school, we're learning about different like compound words or something like that. You can, instead of having them fill out a worksheet and putting words together, you can have them write a sentence with as many compound words as they can think of. Connecting words, even math, you can give them real life experiences that help them connect math to real life and not just doing worksheets.
Madam President, that was a great way to end this. We give a huge round of applause for awesome students.
I have to sit out.
This is so good. I'm from the backstage. All right, look. Now it's a keynote speaker. She is a very special educator who's a role model for so many, myself included. Jenny is the Chief Innovation Officer at Des Plaines Public Schools in Chicago and is the author of Courageous Adventures. Previously, the Digital Learning Coordinator for Academy for Urban School Leadership and a teacher at Chicago Public Schools, Jenny uses her classroom experiences to help teachers create new and better opportunities for students. Jenny believes that every classroom should be a place for what she calls adventures. Oh man, I already messed it up. For adventures. She'll tell you more about that. Adventures are student-centered, passion-based, experiential learning experiences. She's also devoted to reimagining professional development to ensure that teachers receive relevant training and support. On the redesign of the U.S. Department of Education's National EdTech Plan and co-founded new approaches for professional learning, including something I think she talks about that I think is awesome called Playdates. We'll hear about that, I hope. This is like a collaborative online place for teachers to share new tools and programs and apps. So if you have any questions for Jenny, you can go to the ISTE 2017 mobile app and you can post them there. By the way, she has promised that she will answer every question that you respond to. So I was giving her a hard time. I was like, I just want to see her come through with that promise. So I want every one of you to ask her a question just to see if she knows that. One quick housekeeping note before I pull her out. We were backstage with the students, we were having a great time, and we gave them a little tour of the production line. There's a lot of production that has to happen back behind here. So if any of you, after Jenny's keynote at the end, want to see a backstage tour of what we have going on up here, just tweet to @ISTEConnects. So we can only have 25 people. So the first 25 to tweet to @ISTEConnects, we'll meet you right over here for a backstage tour. So while you're online, make sure you're asking lots of questions to Jenny and give us a heads up if you want to visit backstage. Okay, there's my intro. Let's give a huge welcome to my good friend and mentor, Jenny Magiera.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Jenny. I am so excited to be here. I can't even tell you. I've been poking my head out everywhere trying to watch the student panel. How amazing were those kids? I'm especially pumped about Hope Mendoza, the very articulate young lady with the laser, because she's from Chi-Town, where I'm from. And she goes to Leiden High School, East Leiden High School in Franklin Park, right by the airport. If you're ever delayed at Chicago O'Hare, leave the airport and visit East Leiden High School. It's an amazing school. #Leiden Pride. But she was really sweet because she came off the stage and I was so scared. She's like, oh, I'm your fan. So I owe her a lot. I really cannot tell you what an honor it is to be here today, speaking as an educator to a room full of educators. I've spoken on stages before and I've had talks before, but I keep telling everyone this is so scary for me because it's like speaking in front of my family. I feel like this industry is really part of what makes me who I am. And so during our time this morning, I want to talk to you and really share with you what it means to me to be in this amazing field. And to start off, I want to tell you a story. takes place in Seoul, Korea. And it's about a little girl named Kyung-shin. Grew up in Seoul, and when she was very young, her father, mother, and older brother decided to move to the United States. You see, her father, his dearest dream was to become a doctor. And he decided he could best pursue that dream in the US. So they moved away, and she and her sister stayed behind in Seoul with her grandmother. And after a couple years, imagine her elation when she got a message from her dad that it was time for her and her sister to move to the US, and not just anywhere, New York City. So she, New York. So she got on a plane, wore her cutest outfit, was so excited, got out the plane, and she was so dazzled by the lights of the city. She was a little bit disappointed coming from the airport because as she looked at the road, everyone told her that in the US the streets are paved with gold, and she's like, this is regular rock, I've seen no gold. But she was also really excited because her mother was taking her for a special treat the day after she landed. They were going to City Hall, and Kyung-shin was going to get an American name. And you see, for Kyung-shin, this was a really big deal because for her, she thought of it as her alter ego. She could reinvent herself, and she could be whoever she wanted to be. And so this was very, very meaningful. And her mother told her, Kyung-shin, I picked out a very good name for you. I went to my next door neighbor who doesn't have any daughters, and I said, if you had a daughter, what would you name her? And she picked out the most classic, elegant, timeless, perfect little girl name that anyone could ever want. Carol. Any Carols in the audience? 5,000 people know Carols, got it. Now, the little girl and her mom get to the desk at City Hall, and they're like, hi, I'm here for my American name, let's do this. And she says, I would like her to be named Carol. And the City Hall clerk said, that's great, how do you spell it? And the mother said, I'm not sure. And so she looked at the little girl and she said, how would you like to spell it? And the little girl was like, Girl. So she tried to say it slowly. Unfortunately, in the Korean language, there are no R's. So when Koreans pronounce R's in English, they come out like L's. So Carol came out like Kettle. The City Hall clerk spelled Carol, Kello. And the little girl's name became Kello. So she went to school that year as Kello, and when the teacher called roster, said, Kello, that's such an intriguing name, tell me more. She said, well, it's kind of a mistake. The kids chuckled when they started to tease her and make fun of her, and this became her story, and the kids came up with incredibly clever rhymes like, hello, Kello, how's your fellow? Would you like some yellow jello? There was no rhyming dictionary back then, so pretty good. The problem was this became Kello's single story. As she went through her time in school, she became the girl who had the mistake name. And so she became quiet and timid because she was embarrassed about this story that was being told of her. And it wasn't until she got into 4th grade and had a teacher ask her this question that things began to change. What do you want to be called this year? She thought, no one's ever asked me that before. Even when I got my American name, my mom didn't ask me, she asked the neighbor. I get to choose who I want to be? So she thought, and she thought, and she thought of a really amazing name that she'd read in a book. And this girl, she was smart, and she was funny, and she was brave, and she said, that's who I want to be. And so she said to her teacher, Miss, I am Katie. She said, sure, well, call me Katie. And she ran home and she's like, Mom, Dad, brother, sisters, I am now Katie. And when she turned 18 years old, she legally changed her name to Katie. And you know what happened to Katie? She did grow up to be smart. And she did grow up to be funny. And she did grow up to be brave. And she also grew up to be my mom. I'd like for you to take note of our awesome rockin' 90s outfits. Fanny pack, that was my recorder ensemble t-shirt, backwards hat, yeah. I'm waiting for that to come back. The reason my mom would tell me this story is she would say, Jennifer, my mom called me Jennifer, not Jenny. She was like, I named you Jennifer, nicknames are for weak people.
She said, Jennifer, which is funny because of her name story. I'll let you go ahead and digest that. Anyway. So Jennifer, teachers can help you be your whole self. So when I would come home salty because I was like, my teacher yelled at me and I didn't even do nothing, and she'd say, Jennifer, teachers can help you be your whole self. Listen to what they have to say. And as I've become a teacher and an educator, that's really started to resonate more and more with me. And I really think about this TED Talk by an amazing Nigerian author named Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Anyone? Yeah, Chimamanda fans in the house. It's an amazing TED Talk, and one of the messages that she has in this talk is that stereotypes aren't wrong, they're just incomplete. And the point she's trying to make is that as a society, too often, we have single stories about each other, a singular understanding of who we are, and we go by that single story to define everyone else who meets that particular feature set or criteria. And to think about the single stories that are in education, the single stories that are about teachers, our colleagues, our students, our communities, and our families. And as I began to prepare to give this talk, I thought, what would Chimamanda do? Us to tell the untold stories. The stories that aren't told enough or ever in our industry. And so for the rest of the time that we have together this morning, I'd like to tell you some of our untold stories in education. I have 5 for you today. The first one is the single story of student self-image, and the untold story of limitless potential. I work in Chicago. Right now I'm the Chief Innovation Officer for a district also right by Chicago O'Hare Airport. And I was really excited when we wrote a grant and we wanted to get these coding robots from Wonder Workshop, Dash and Dot. And I was really hyped about it, so we created a week-long coding class at one of our schools during winter intersection. And as I walked around that class and saw the students begin to manipulate code to see how the robots would physically, kinesthetically carry out their commands, I was so delighted to see the smiles on students' face and them really leaning into learning this new language. And my disappointment when I saw 3 girls, Katie, Bianca, and Daria, sitting in a corner, pouting, huffing, iPads pushed aside, Dash and Dot pushed aside, and said, ladies, what's wrong? Why aren't you coding? And Daria looks at me and goes, oh, listen, Bear, I can't even code. I'm just a girl. Right? I was so sad and frustrated. And then I thought, oh, of course she thinks that. I mean, look at popular media, right? All of her coding examples and exemplars out there are dudes. Steve Jobs, dude. Sergey Brin, dude. Mr. Robot, also a dude. So she didn't have a lot of lady role models. And I thought, what are we going to do to break down this gender stereotype and change the world? And I thought there are amazing people out there like tomorrow's Keynote, Rashma Saljani, who invented Girls Who Code. Thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I thought, you know what? I know what I need to do. I need to put my shoulders back, think about my mature, professional, educator self. I need to walk right up to those girls and triple doggy dare them. So I did. I said, Katie, Bianca, Daria, I triple doggy dare you. I triple doggy dare you to code. And I believe so strongly that you can code, that if you can't code by the end of today, Monday, then for the rest of this week, you can do whatever you want. The teacher's behind them going, do not promise on this. I've been practicing. We're just going to Snapchat all day. I'm like, no, trust me, it's going to be fine. Now, I want you to keep in mind that this is Monday. And I want you to watch this video that Katie, Bianca, and Daria created and pay attention to the timeline.
We're going to be doing a dance with Dash to the song Rolling in the Deep by
But this is like our first time doing it, so, well, not our first day, but first time making a dance, so we're gonna see how it came out. Yeah.
There's a fire starting in my heart, reaching my feet, bringing me out the dark. Finally, I can see you crystal clear. Go ahead and stop me out, and I'll lay on the straight. See, I leave with every piece of you. Don't underestimate the thing.
All right, who caught it? What day did they create this video? Thursday. Good listening. You get it. So they created this on video. So here's what happened. I double dog dare them on Monday. I come back Tuesday. I walk up to them. I'm like, hey, ladies, how's it going? Did you learn how to code? They're like, no, not really. And I'm like, darn, I guess you guys get to do whatever you want. Fire up Snapchat. And they said, actually, Miss Magiera, we want to spend the rest of the week coding. I was like, yes. Don't you love it when your teacher Machiavellian plans come to life? They're like, ha 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 ha, dance puppets. So I'm like, yay! Really? You want to code? Tell me about that. And so they said, Miss Magiera, it's actually really cool. Did you know that coding is a language? I'm like, really? They're like, you can create with it. It's not just for boys. And I said, wow. And they said, and it can help us solve a problem. Well, that's interesting. I wasn't expecting that. You see, these three girls are part of a dance group. And the fourth little girl was out sick. She had mono. And, because that's what kids get, mono, apparently. So she has mono, and she couldn't do their big dance that next week in their recital. And they were so disappointed, but then they realized they could get Dash to be the fourth girl in their dance troupe. And so they taught Dash that like awesome head bop. I'm not going to try a dance for you. That Adele dance. And they were solving problems through code. I mean, come on, ISTE, that's what it's about, right? Woo! Now, it was not only really gratifying to see them solve problems, lean into something that they had before thought they couldn't do, but afterwards, they were a little bit embarrassed. They said, Miss Magiera, I can't believe I said that girls can't do something. Girl power. This follow-up video.
Hey girls, never say you're just a girl. Girls can do anything boys can do. Coding's super fun. You should come try it now.
Can you tell their dancers they choreograph that message? Now. That media society tells our students who they can and cannot be. And as educators, it's our role to help amplify the untold story of limitless potential, to help our students believe that no matter what stories you've been exposed to, you can be whoever you want, and you can write the story of being the first if there isn't a story that came before you. Two is about the single story of teachers and the think about who we are. And let me introduce you to my husband. Imagine he's right here. He's like, yay, hi, his name is Jim. And if you were to run into Jim at the grocery store or the Starbucks, waiting in line, you'd get to know so much about Jim. You'd find out that he loves a good craft beer. He has not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 barbecues on our front deck in our tiny condo in downtown Chicago because he loves barbecue. It's a problem. But what you won't find out about Jim is that he's an attorney. And the reason why you won't find out that Jim's an attorney is because that's not who he is. It's just his job. He doesn't talk about it with friends or strangers in line at Starbucks. But if you and I were to meet randomly at a Starbucks in Chicago, you're going to find out immediately that I'm an educator. Because being an educator is not just what I do, it's who I am as a person. And I think about that, and I think about why this is so important to me and why it's so deeply part of my identity as a person. And I have to think back to my 4th grade teacher, Miss Buckman.
Now, when I walked into 4th grade, I walked into the room and all the kids are sitting in their desks and there's no adult, which was really weird to me because at my school, there was always an adult watching me. It was like the eye of Sauron. They're like just always there. So I walk in, I'm like, whoa, something's up. So I like sat down, folded my hands, I'm like, someone's watching, this is a trick. And then all of a sudden, this lady with shock white hair busts into the room and starts flipping over tables and looking under trash cans. And all of a sudden, she looks at us and she's like, aren't you gonna help? And we're like, what are we doing? Who is this lady? And she said, I've lost my pet dinosaur, Jeff. I can't find him anywhere. And if I don't find him soon, he's gonna eat a child, I know it. So we all get up and we're looking under desks and we're looking under, and it's weird, we're like looking under things. He's a dinosaur, we should have known he'd be like big, but we're like, oh, is he under this? And all of a sudden, this fucking slams her hand on the table and goes, stop! Uh-oh. She's gonna yell at us for being out of our seats. And instead she said, it's okay, I left him at home. He's guarding the Fountain of Youth. Don't worry about it, kids. Look at the time. We're already late for our adventure. And I thought, good God, this woman's my teacher. A few weeks later, I was reading my choice book. So as I was reading the book, I was really intrigued by a certain line. But you see, the wizard, Randolph the Grey, is about to invite his shy hobbit friend, Bilbo Baggins, on a grand adventure. And he says, I am looking for someone to share in the adventure that I'm arranging. And I thought, that's so cool. You can just decide to have an adventure, and moreover, you can invite people to come with you. And then I thought, oh my God, teachers are wizards. I thought, Randolph the Grey is Miss Buckman. She invited me to an adventure on the first day of school. I never know what's going on. Her hair is always kind of crazy. She's a wizard. And so I want us to think about the single story of teachers and the single story that we see on television. We see ourselves parodied in late night shows. And I want us to think about the untold story of wizards, that teachers are fun-loving, adventure-going, exciting, passionate human beings who are leading our kids to go on an adventure every day. Think about chapter 3, which kind of follows up from that. We have a single story of resistant colleagues, but there's also an untold story of friendly dragons. So, fine, oh my God, teachers are wizards. This was something that I'd had in my head since 4th grade. So imagine my excitement when I came to my first ISTE in 2012. I walked in, it was terrifying. Like the expo hall was just like, good God, what am I gonna do? I think I bought another suitcase for all the swag that I got. But I remember walking through the halls and thinking, I love this place. This is like a wizard convention. These are the teachers who get it, who like are really shattering that single story of the parodies of teachers who are saying, oh man, I am the coolest of the cool. Teachers have fun. I literally saw a gaggle of librarians wearing wizard hats walking down the hall. And as we come to our wizard convention, going home is really hard, going back to our mortal realms. I think about last year's keynote, Michelle Cordy, and do you guys remember the slide that she shared? This is a selfie of her going home every year for the past 3 years. And she was kind enough to share this slide with me. Going home from ISTE is devastating. And I really feel that. I know many of you are first-time ISTEers, so get ready for that deep, desolate pain. But for those of you who felt it before, you can kind of connect. Now, there's something about this quote that I didn't tell you. Randolph the Grey says to Bilbo Baggins, I want you to come on this adventure. But there's another part to this quote. It is, it's really difficult to find anyone. And I truly believe that one of the reasons that we're so sad when we go home from ISTE is because we went to this place that understands us, where we're amongst our wizard friends, our tribe. And then we go home. And for me, going home was going back to be a technology coordinator, a chief technology officer, and I would go into staff meetings and literally not
joking, people would physically run away from me. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna try and make us do something with technology, quick, hide. And at ISTE, they're not running away from you, they're running towards you. You're getting bear hugs, you're taking selfies. It's something different. And so when people would run away from me and I'd feel like I'd lose some of my wizardry magic, I began to resent the colleagues who would resist me. I began to be frustrated with them and say, why don't you want to do these innovative and amazing things for our kids? Why can't you understand? This is what's best for our children. Come along with me. And they'd say no, and they'd say no, and they'd say no, and I'd get so frustrated. This story that my mother would tell me. There was this painting that hung over their bedroom, in their bedroom. This is the only picture I have of it from when we were packing up my house, but here it is. This is a dragon cliff in Korea. And she told me the story, which, by the way, later I found out she completely made up, but that's okay, it goes with this keynote, so we're going with it. And so this story goes is that there once was a village in Korea, and at the top of the village was this amazing, wonderful thing that would help all of the villagers meet their lifelong goals and make their life so much better. I have no idea what it was, like free high-speed Wi-Fi, but it was something. And they all wanted to get to the top of this mountain, but they couldn't, because there was this dragon in the way. And every time they'd try and go up, the dragon would push them back. And so they were so frustrated because they knew life could be better, but they couldn't get up the mountain. A really brave villager decided to take his walking stick and hike up there and battle the dragon, slay him, and then meet his needs at the top. He gets to the dragon and he's about to fight him, and he sees that the dragon's arm is covered in thorns. He says, wow, this dragon seems to be in pain. So he says, you know, I'm gonna put down my stick, I'm gonna walk over to the dragon, I'm gonna help him. So he unwraps his arm, he's like watching his jaws to make sure he doesn't get eaten. He puts the medicine on him, and the dragon begins to transform into a friendly villager. And not just any friendly villager, the village chief. He said, hey dude, where you been at? And he said, oh, I came up here and I got stuck. And I've been sitting here with these thorns around my arm, but nobody will help me. So I've been frustrated and frustrated and frustrated, and I forgot who I was. And so I think about that story of the dragon, and my mother would always tell me, Jennifer, when you're facing somebody who's trying to push back and who doesn't seem to understand where you're coming from, who doesn't agree with you, instead of arguing with them, take a step back and listen to what their problem is. And if you have the kindness to help them with their problem first, even if it's unrelated to your goals, then you will be amazed at how they can become your greatest ally. And so as I began my work, going into school administration and becoming a chief innovation officer and helping an entire district move along the scope of innovation and adoption, I really thought about those friendly dragons. And the more that I listened to their problems and stopped talking about tech immediately and heard what their challenges were, the more they turned into my neighborhood wizards. Some of them have even gone on to present at conferences like ISTE and be the new person leading the wave of innovation. Chapter 3 is about the single story of resist colleagues and the untold story of friendly dragons. So as you're thinking about the people who are in your homes, as you're riding on that plane, don't be so sad, because remember, there might be friendly dragons right around the corner. Which takes us to chapter 4, the single story we tell the world and the untold story of our inner selves. Recently, I just saw this post on Facebook about Facebook from the New York Times. Make you miserable. And I was on Facebook at the moment. I'm like, oh my God, Facebook does make me miserable. The author of this article, Seth Steven-Savatovitz, says that people are dirty liars. He says that we have this persona that we like to put out in social media that isn't our true selves. In fact, he did some data collection analysis to prove it. Americans spend 6 times as amount of hours washing dishes than playing golf. But we tweet about golf 3 times as much as we tweet about doing dishes. Like, wash that dish, hashtag nailed it, best life ever. The budget hotel in Las Vegas Circus Circus has the same number of rooms as the luxury hotel Bellagio, and yet there are 4 times as many check-ins on Facebook at the Bellagio than Circus Circus. But this is an education conference, so let's talk a little bit about literacy and reading, shall we? The magazine The Atlantic. Has anyone read this one before? A few of you? Well, The Atlantic has articles like 50 greatest inventions since the wheel, like really deep, hard-hitting news and journalism. And then there's also the National Enquirer, which talks about things like, hey guys, watch out, the Terminator's totally real, it's definitely gonna happen, smash all your computers. Now, the National Enquirer sells 3 times the number of copies as the Atlantic every year. And yet, does anyone want to guess how many more times people like it on Facebook? Let's take a look. I have to turn it sideways to show you actually. 45 times the number of people claim to read The Atlantic over the National Enquirer on Facebook. You're not reading it, they're like, yeah, I like that 50 greatest inventions article. It like had 50 inventions in there and they were great. You didn't read it. Now, Seth goes on to say that there's this quote out there that says, don't compare your insides to other people's outsides. But that advice is really hard to follow because we never see each other's insides. So we thought, how can we find a way to see people's insides if they're refusing to show it to us? And he thought about Google Analytics. So he did another test. He said that under Facebook, if you look at I always, it looks like I always am on vacation, having brunch, taking selfies, living hashtag best life ever. Can you guys think of a friend or family member who's living this life allegedly on Facebook? Now, if you go to the public Google Analytics page and you type in I always, you want to see what the top 5 auto responses were when Seth wrote this article? This is what your friends are actually doing. They're tired, they have to pee, they have diarrhea, and they're bloated. They're sleepy and there's some GI problems going on. I mean, they're not individually, like you could be on vacation and have all those things happening too, but like, let's be real. So then I had a moment where I said, do I do this? So I decided to audit my own Facebook page. So I took a look and I was like, am I the Facebook self or the Google self? And I have things like this. Hanging out in a geothermal pool, best life ever. Indoor skydiving with my friend, best life ever. Hanging out with my husband by the mountain, best life ever. I'm totally being that Facebook liar. And I thought back to what Seth was saying. Don't compare your insides to other people's outsides when people don't show you their insides. Recently, not recently, for the past 6 years, my husband and I have been going through a really challenging time. Not maritally, I still like him, he's a good guy. But you see, for the past 6 years, we've really wanted to start a family. I really wanted to have my own kids. I love education and I love public education. I wanted to have my kids and raise them with my colleagues being their teachers. Working out for us. And it's really frustrating. I'm super type A. I want to control everything. And I'm like, uterus, why can't I control you? And so we got to a point where we started looking at IVF. And that was really hard for me because I didn't know if I believed in it, like faith-wise. I didn't know if I believed in it, like science-wise. And it seems like fake wizard science. And so I was like, do I really want to do this? I'm scared. I was so scared. But you see, I would look around at my friends and I would see them with these big happy families and they sneeze and they get pregnant. And I'm just like, I can't talk to anyone about it because they're not going to understand. No one else is going through this. It's just me. So one night I turned to my husband and I said, Jim, I really need to talk to someone about this. And there's got to be at least one other person who's going through this. Can I put it on Facebook? He was like, go ahead, Jenny, put it on Facebook. So I posted it. I posted that, you know, what's been going on. It's been 6 years. We've had couple miscarriages. It's been really hard. And I'm going to start this new thing, and I'm terrified. And I really need someone to talk to. And then I was even more terrified because I thought, what are people going to think? This isn't a happy poolside selfie. But within 1 hour, I had 288 likes and over 75 people had commented. And what's more, within the next 24 hours, almost 100 people called, texted, or actually showed up at my door with hugs, with stories. And it was so amazing to find that I wasn't alone, and to find that I thought I was the only one struggling, and to find that there was something wrong with me in one mind, and then to find out no, other people are going through this. My friends who I thought were sneezing and getting pregnant had gone through the very same thing. And they came out and said, Jenny, no, girl, I'm going through the same thing. All these kids, I had to get help too. In fact, I don't even like them that much. Do you want one? I was like, yes. Give me, I'll take your children, sure, no problem. And I think about that and what it felt like to finally find that my struggle, A, was real, and B, that other people were going through it. And I think about us in our industry and the untold stories on the road to innovation. I think about all of you here at ISTE, and I think those of you, how many of you are presenters? Woo, good, thank you so much. And I think about you who raised your hand or on stage and you're presenting, and people are probably in our audience being like, man, that person totally gets it. Their whole thing's together. Innovation seems so easy to them. And I think about myself and when I was first presenting and the things that I would talk about. I talked about using technology to clone myself in my classroom. My students didn't have devices and Wi-Fi at home, so I would create short videos for centers so they could have differentiated instruction while I was leading a small group. And I thought, wow, this is so cool. I'm going to show everyone. And people were picking up what I was putting down. But I wonder, was that intimidating? Did I not share my whole story? And the untold story here is what really happened the first time that I did it. You see, I did create differentiated math videos for my students, and I did put them on all of their iPads so they could have cloned differentiated Miss Magiera on all of their devices. And I did come in on Saturday and sync them, and they did put on their headphones and watch the videos, and I did bask in the room of 37 9-year-olds that were completely silent and thought, truly I am a wizard. But I didn't tell people about what happened next. You see, what happened next was that I looked over and a little girl giggled. And I thought, that's weird. How is the volume of the pyramid funny? I did not know the joke. And as I looked closer at the iPads, I found that I had not, in fact, synced the video volume of the pyramid, which was an epic math video, by the way, but instead, the 2010 raunchy comedy classic Hot Tub Time Machine. Now, for those of you who haven't seen it, just Google it later. It's totes and approach. It's not something that you want to put on a bunch of 9-year-olds' iPads. And they've been watching it for 3 minutes. So I'm like, okay, I'm clearly getting fired. But I could have given up at that point. I could have said, that's it, let me pack my teacher bag, I'm out. But instead, we had a learning conversation as a class. I called a lot of parents and had a lot of conversations. I talked to my principal and I overcame it. And so what I want you to know is that for those of you who are starting on your journey for innovation, and for those of you who are already on it and are helping others follow, how are we telling these hairy inner stories about our journey so it's less intimidating for people to follow behind us? So you can say, that girl's on stage keynoting ISTE, but she synced a rated R movie to all of her kids' iPads. Maybe I can do it too. Not sync the bad video. Do this. Don't do the bad video. Disclaimer, and do say, okay. Now, I'm really excited because at this program at ISTE, there are lots of sessions around mistakes and failure. So you can go and see that here. So in chapter 4, we talked about the story we tell our world. So let's all try and set that inner self free. Now, my final chapter for you today is how technology can help us shatter that single story. As a Chief Innovation Officer, Reed's fancy title, Technology Director, technology should enhance our connection. I believe in more Wi-Fi and devices for everybody. But what I truly believe is that technology should enhance our connection to each other. And I think about stories and how they go. And without technology, your story can only be told if you have an audience. Your story can only be told if there's someone sitting with you to tell the story to, otherwise you're just talking to yourself. And I think about our untold stories, and the fact that through technology, your story can come first and the audience can come second. I can create a blog post, a piece of media, a tweet, a Snapchat, and I can share that out with the world, and the audience can then see it after. And my students were really excited about that. There were a group of kids in a school that was 99% low income, in a school on the south side of Chicago that a lot of people had written off, but they had a lot of untold stories to tell. And so they took to YouTube and they said, we don't need an audience to start with, we're just gonna tell the world our stories. And you know what? If you post it, they will come. Here are some of the video stories that my kids have created over the years.
I'm about to go some tasks. Only got 20 lines in my Chromebook. I'm coding. Right as you can know. This is gonna be awesome. Take up something. It takes 10 years to go to pay. Wi-Fi don't come on my tablet. It costs too much to buy new router. Stop saying you can't just because you're a kid.
Don't wait for an adult or club to get started.
Hey kids, this is our message to you. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
So my kids were creating these videos over the years, and it meant a lot to them. They would refresh their YouTube page and be like, oh my God, refresh it again, Miss Magiera, let's take a look. And every time they refresh it, they'd be like, look, all these new people are looking at our videos. And I didn't have the heart to be like, that's you, you're refreshing the page. But truly, there were people who had seen these videos. And so these students, I call them my babies, even though they're bigger than me now, but my babies just graduated from 8th grade on Friday. And I went to sit with them in their old kindergarten class to talk to them about how had the past 9 years really helped them grow as individuals, as people. And they all said it was being able to tell their stories through video.
And those videos can help me not be shy and share my thoughts on things. So you could probably tell by my squeaky voice and how I was always looking up, and I'm still doing that right now. I can't stare at that camera. But yeah, I think it basically made me be able to share my thoughts with everyone.
And in the videos kind of made me a more open person, because now that there's more than just my friends and my peers seeing it, it's kind of well, if anybody can see it, there's nothing really that I should be nervous about.
It helps us remember who we are and that we can be somebody in school and outside of school.
When we allow our students to have those voices, and when we have that audience to show that people are listening and they care about what you have to say, it really unlocks something inside of them. And so I want to tell you a story that's not untold, but it's not told enough. And this is an important category of untold stories that we should really be considering. Are we telling the right stories? Are we amplifying the right stories? And this is a story that I truly believe that should be told over and over again and amplified, and I tell it every time I speak. And this story is called This Isn't Chirac. I had a student teacher named Lindsay Rose, and Lindsay went on from my classroom to teach in the south side of Chicago in a neighborhood called South Shore. And unfortunately, South Shore isn't known as South Shore for its amazing stables. It has a golf course, but instead, for the gunshot wounds that happen every year, for the gang violence and drug activity, it is known instead by the Chicago media as Terror Town. And this was really hard for her students. Her students would be walking to school every day through their neighborhood, through South Shore, and they would see news trucks and vans pull up, not to tell about the amazing things in their neighborhood, but to tell another story about why they lived in the ghetto. And so her kids would come to her math class frustrated and distracted and angry because their untold story wasn't being heard. to social media. She read them a book, The House on Mango Street by Sandra Cisneros. And she had them use this as a mentor text to find their voice and learn how to tell their story. She had them tweet out messages, write things on Facebook, email their new narrative to all of the Chicago news outlets, and every single one of those news outlets picked it up. Every single one of those news outlets published it. In fact, the Chicago Sun-Times, one of our two big newspapers in the city, sent out a news truck and vans to record the students telling their untold story from their own voices.
We saw your news trucks and cameras here, and we read your article, 6 Shot in South Shore Laundromat and Another Mass Shooting in Teartown. We saw the news reporters with fancy suits in front of our laundromat.
You spent 24 hours here, but you really don't know us.
Those who don't know us think this is a poor neighborhood with all the abandoned buildings with the wood covered windows and broken doors.
Those who don't know us saw the police on the corner and think that we're all violence and drugs. They see the candy rubbers and empty juice bottles and think we don't care.
Uneducated, jobless thieves, you'll be scared of these heartless people.
When you see us coming, you might hurry up and run to your cars and lock the door.
They speed down these streets at 60 miles per hour like you're on the highway, trying to get out of this ghetto.
We want you to know us. We aren't afraid. We know that man at the court. He works at the store and gives us free lemon heads.
Those girls jumping rope are Precious, Anaya, and Nibia. The people in suits are not going to finish but to church.
That little creepy dog is Cyrus, Lamar's dog.
We are the kids who find crates so we can shoot hoops. When the sun shines here, it's not God saying he wants to burn us, but he sees us all with bright futures.
Those who know us look at the ones who want to go to college, not the ones who dropped out.
If you listen, you'll hear this laughter and chatter from the group of girls on the corner who are best friends and really care about each other. Do you see the smile on the cashier's face when the kids walk in? Why? Because this neighborhood is filled with love.
This isn't Chirac. This is home. This is us.
For these students in the South Shore neighborhood of Chicago, technology truly helped them shatter the single story about their neighborhood. They were able to go live on NPR, share this video on YouTube, which has, by the way, been seen on every continent except for one. So if anyone knows a friendly penguin who would like to watch a YouTube video, please let me know. It's incredible what we can do today. It's incredible how we can share our humanity with one another, how small the world has become because of technology. An awesome musical that I just saw in Chicago, Hamilton, and the song that says, "Who tells your story?" And I want to ask you that, who's telling your story? I'm up here, I get a microphone and a stage and a bunch of bright lights. I get to tell my story. But who's going to tell your story? And even more so, who's going to tell the story that's happening in the halls here at ISTE? It is such a privilege to get to come here. For years, I had to scrape and save to come, and I know how hard it is to get to be able to be at ISTE. And so many amazing things happen to us, and so many amazing stories occur. There's the keynotes, there's the sessions, there's the playgrounds, there's the hallway chats, the parties, the sore feet. Mila, please, next year can we get like a feet massage station? And so my students have a challenge for you.
Start making videos so they can start expressing themselves and showing who they are. Challenge of the day.
So I have a challenge for you. I'd like for you to take out your cell phones and put on the selfie mode and take a quick selfie. Quick pro tip. I have a lot of younger cousins and I've taught grade school for a long time. If you do it from above, downward, you look younger and skinnier. And I want you to post that to #ISTE story and say, this is the beginning of my ISTE story. And then throughout the next day and a half, I'd like for you to please take videos in the halls, share the ISTE stories, share them all. And if this isn't a big enough incentive, then what I want you to know is my students who you saw in these videos and I are gonna watch those ISTE stories. And we're gonna select some of them and Richard Collada and Mila have agreed to put these on the ISTE webpage following the conference. And if that's not big enough incentive for you, here's Taylor one more time to beg.
Do it for me. I mean, I'm so cute. Just do it. You're never gonna let it happen. You do that. A puppy just winds up on your doorstep somehow.
So she has 5,000 puppies that she's gonna mail to you if you do this. All right, so our time has come to an end, but I want to finish up with one last epilogue. When I graduated from college, I graduated with my teacher's license. I knew from that moment in 4th grade that I wanted to be a teacher, and so it became my lifelong goal. And I remember being so excited and thinking of the thing my mother had told me, that teachers can help you be your whole self. To my 4th grade teacher, Miss Buckman, to tell her that I had gotten a job in Chicago Public Schools as a 4th grade teacher too. And I was so excited to tell her. I rolled up to the Sweet Tomatoes salad restaurant, which is weird because I don't like salad, and I sat down with her, and I said, Miss Buckman, guess what? And she said, you're gonna be a teacher. I was like, hey, how did she know? Oh my God, this woman's really a wizard. She's like reading my mind. And she said, no. And she opened her bag, and she pulled out this stack of postcards and letters, and she said, sweetie, ever since you were in my classroom, your mother and I have become very good friends. And we've been keeping in touch your whole life. And I've been watching you grow. And I am so proud that you want to be a teacher. I said, Miss Buckman, oh my God, this is amazing. These two brilliant women who helped me become who I am are friends and are talking about me behind my back, which is kind of creepy. And I thought, Miss Buckman, I'm so excited to be here. I told her, I'm so excited to be a teacher because I want to be just like you. I want to be a wizard for my kids. I want to do the Jeff Dinosaur thing. I've already thought about my hair and what I'm going to do. No, you can't be me. And my heart fell. So you're right, I could never be you. You're amazing. I mean, it's so crazy. I could never be you. She said, no. Jenny, you can't be me, because if you try to be me, then who's going to be you? And I realized that I had a single story of what an amazing teacher could be. My story as an educator was still untold because I get to live it. Mother, Junction, and then Kello, and then Katie. And I think about how she had an untold story and someone told her, go out and tell your story. Find it. Don't follow in someone else's footsteps. Be yourself. And then Miss Buckman did something else. She reached into her pocket and she pulled out a glass bluebird. This glass bluebird. And this had sat on her desk every day that I was in 4th grade. And she said, Jenny, I want you to take this bird and I want you to put it in your classroom. And I want you to remember me, but I want this to be the only part of me you have in your classroom. Because the rest of the story is yours, and you have to discover it, and you have to tell it. And so, my friends, I say to all of you, fellow educators, educational allies, teachers, and think about the story that you have left to tell. Find the stories that aren't being told in our classrooms that are going to inspire our students to grow and be better versions of us and better versions of themselves. Find those untold stories, live those untold stories, and set them free. Thank you.
many of you realizing it is entirely possible that I may never feel more inspired in my entire life than I do right now. Jenny will be doing a book signing for her book in ISTE Central right after the keynote. She'll also then be spending the rest of the day answering all of your questions that you've sent to her and reviewing your stories. Just a quick heads up, if you're going to be part of the backstage tour, stage left, and then tomorrow, Reshma Sujani will be our closing keynote speaker. Now, because she'll be the closing keynote speaker, she's also going to do a book signing, but it will be tomorrow at 12:45. So if you want to be part of that, make a note of that, and that will also be right up here at ISTE Central. So you got a lot to do today, lots of great sessions, so get out there. We will see you tomorrow for our closing keynote. Thanks, everyone.
And I'm looking at you going, I so desperately want to like flip switch so that we can get away. I know, because I got this huge camp and I'm like, boom, and I just hand it over to her.
Hey guys, we'll be back in just a minute.
And the wine went to my head, wrapped her in my arms and held her tightly. Looked at her and this is what I said. Then we kept each other on the I love you so. Looked at her and I never let you go. Thought you were mine, but lonely and so fine.
Let's go that way.
And so I said, girl, you never yet you said that you we were not body and that it was so good. It's a lot nothing I let go and I'll never let you go. What you put on my mind, well, come with me and I will be so fine.
So I'm going to Jamaica, moved to Miami, Florida. Grew up in two of the three worst neighborhoods in Miami. Was a high school football. Sure.